by Pratisandhi Foundation. I am Simran Nanda and I am the program manager. And today we have with us Dr. Seema Sharma. So I'll just start off by giving like a little introduction as to what Pratisandhi does. We are an NGO basically which is dedicated to the cause of sexual health and awareness. And we wish to bring forth a platform that can allow for openness regarding issues that are considered a taboo in our society and move towards a more progressive mindset. And we have with us Dr. Seema Sharma. She is known for her sincerity, excellent bedside manners, and clinical acumen for diagnosing problems. And she believes in a holistic approach to a woman's challenges with over 20 plus years of experience. She's a government representative appointed by the Ministry of Health for the District Advisory MTP Committee in West Delhi since 2011. And her book, Clinical Essays in Obstetrical and Gynecology for MRCOG2, has been selected as a suggested reading material for doctors appearing for the MRCOG examination by the Royal College. And we would like to thank her for taking out time and helping us. And all right, so before we begin, I'll just lay down one simple rule. So for the next 1 hour, Dr. Seema would be starting the session and all the questions will be taken once she's done. That is dot at 5 p.m. We have a question section which must be visible to all of you. So you all can start dropping your questions dot at 5 p.m. All right. I think that sounds good. Dr. Seema, are you ready from your end to begin?
Yes, Simran.
All right. So are you being able to share your screen?
Yes, I will. Well, thank you so much for having me here. And I'm going to start with my screen share.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I can't do that.
If you're not being able to, let me know. I'll start.
Yeah, I don't think the screen is...
It's all right. It's all right. I'll share the screen.
Hang on.
Not a problem.
Let me try once. If you can tell me if you can see.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Can you see?
No, not yet.
Okay. No, I don't think the...
It's okay if it's not working. So I'll share my screen, all right?
Yeah, you could do that, please.
All right, perfect.
No, I don't think it's working. Yeah, I think it... Are you playing it?
Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
All right. So... all right. Please just let me know whenever you want me to switch slides.
Yeah. So, well, hi, everybody. And I am going to be taking up a few very important things about contraception that all of us should know as human beings. And this is essentially about being safe. So I am also going to be focusing on the aspects that most of the patients ask me questions about. And as Simran said, you could just pose your questions towards the end, and I'm going to be taking them one after the other. Could I have the next slide, please?
Sure.
So what do we mean by contraception and why it is so important? Well, we all know that these are basically all means that can be used to prevent a pregnancy and to avoid the sexually transmitted infections that could arise out of an unprotected sex. So these are all the methods and the ways that we use to prevent that. Next slide, please. Now, what are the different kinds available in India? There are lots. You know, if you just read the internet, there are many, but all of them are available for use in India. And I will keep on giving you the reasons and also how our population behaves as far as contraception is concerned. So, majority of young girls, especially, rely a lot on the fertility awareness methods that I will just be talking shortly about. Beyond that, if you talk in terms of actual methods, the mechanical methods, we have barriers between which a male can use or a female partner can use. There are pills, there are intrauterine devices, and then there is then the last resort is an emergency contraception. And I hope to go in the similar flow, one after the other. So could I have the next slide, please?
Sure.
Well, let's talk about the fertility awareness method. A lot of young couples rely on their apps for telling them when they are fertile, when they are not. But if you just rely on a population-based app, you are likely to fail a lot. And what I recommend is how you should know about your individual fertility is you should know your own body. There are various indicators. We have a body temperature method, we have cervical mucus method, and we have a fertility assessment by knowing our own period. But fertility awareness methods have to be really used very well, because though they do give you a sense of false reassurance, but in reality they are not that foolproof, because egg can stay in your system alive for more than 24 hours sometimes, and sperms, given the perfect circumstances, can also stay in your system for approximately 5 to 6 days. So it is not that you just follow that, okay, this day you are ovulating and after that you're going to be safe. No, that's not going to happen. All right. So there are the important thing is, once you know which are the days that you're fertile, which can be approximately 8 to 9 days. So it's not only a question of 1 or 2 days that you're fertile. You could be fertile for up to 10 days in each cycle. So you definitely need to avoid sex in that period. And a lot of people ask me, doctor, is there a time when I'm totally safe? No, but we were using this fertility method and still we conceived. How did that happen? Well, let me give you one blanket statement. That is, there is absolutely no time in a woman's period when she is absolutely safe to not have a baby. We have seen pregnancies happening when a couple has had sex even during the last days of her periods. There are various variations in the egg formation. Sometimes egg stays longer, sometimes sperm stay longer. So clearly this method, though it is used the maximum in our country, because, well, it is, we rely a lot on internet these days. And this is what internet tells you, that avoid sex during that days and you're going to be safe. But please, in case you want to use this fertility awareness method, use a combination. I will just tell you how to use these combinations. Next slide, please. First is your body temperature. Now you have to have a thermometer which is digital, and every day in the morning before stepping up from the bed or putting your feet down, you should just take this temperature without, you should not have had any tea or water before taking this body temperature, because that can affect your mouth temperature. Now keep recording your body temperature every day from, say, day 5 or day 6, and when you see an increase in your body temperature by 0.2 degrees centigrade, so clearly you need to have a sensitive thermometer for that. And if the increase in temperature is lasting for more than 3 days, the reason is, once the egg is released into your system, it starts to secrete a hormone called progesterone. Now, progesterone increases our body temperature. So if your body temperature increases by 0.2 degrees centigrade or more, and the increase lasts for 3 days consecutively, after that you're safe to have sex without a protection also. Now, this method also has a failure rate of up to 6%. That means 100 women adopting this method, 6 would conceive even after they have had sex when the body temperature was increased for 3 days or more. So clearly not a foolproof method, but still better than not doing anything. Then is tracking and knowing your own body. So we all know we have a vaginal secretion. And if you divide your periods, like the days you bleed and then following 1 week, after the period, you will find that you are secreting a clear, slippery, transparent fluid. That's a mucus, which is alkaline, which is very conducive for helping the sperm swim up into the body. Now, when you are having this thick slipperiness in your underwear or in your vagina, sex is a total no-no without a protection. Now, once this mucus starts to get thick, you may or may not start to notice it, but the quantity of this mucus becomes substantially less, and this mucus becomes white and thick. And once this mucus has become white and thick, and you are comparatively safe to have sex in that period, that means ovulation has already happened. So before the ovulation, you will have a thin slippery mucus, which is a lot in amount. And sometimes, when you're sitting on a pot, a lot of young girls complain that they have a cord like, a thread like mucus coming up. So those are the days when your maximum fertility. So definitely, if you don't want to get pregnant, do not have sex during that time. Even this method, if adopted carefully by itself, has a 3% failure rate. So 100 people following this method, 3 would conceive in a year's time. The last one is you use those apps which tell you when you are ovulating. Well, most of these apps use a formula that is your longest cycle, they subtract 10 days, and your shortest cycle, they subtract 20 days. And they usually tell you to track it for a year, and then they are able to give you an accurate fertility assessment that these are the days when you're likely to be fertile. But most of the times, these apps are more useful for couples who want to conceive. But if you don't want to conceive by itself, this method has a 20% failure rate. So if you just want to have sex and you want to look at your app saying that whether you're fertile, and the app says no, you're not fertile, and you go on, you can fail up to 20% of time. Right? So it is always advisable, if you don't want to use anything else, or your partner doesn't want to use a barrier method, you're totally no to using anything else, please use a combination of all three to reduce your chances of failure. You can take your body temperature, you can just keep track of your cervical mucus, and also then use an app which has been tracking you for at least a year to tell you your fertile days. And avoid these fertile days. If a woman is having average period cycle of say 26 days to 32 days, on an average, the days to avoid are day 8 to day 19. So I hope all of you are very clear as to how to count the days. If not, then I would just want to kind of repeat this thing, that the day you have your bleeding, I always tell patients like the day you have your bleeding on your underwear is your first day. And whether your bleeding lasts 2 days, 3 days, irrespective, now you start counting from day 1, day 2, day 3, like that. So when I say day 8, it is day 8 after the period started, and the days of menstruation are included. So day 8 to 19 are the days in an average woman's life when she's most likely to conceive. But that does not mean that if you have sex on day 20, you would not ever conceive. Right? So if you are having sex on day 20 when your cervical mucus has clearly turned thick and your body temperature has been up for many days, you're likely to be more safe as compared to not choosing this method. Right? So this is essentially about your fertility awareness method. So please, I only want to tell you that youngsters tend to rely a lot on what these apps tell you, considering these are all population based apps. They are not specific for your body, and they just give you an approximation, and they are more likely to be helpful for couples who want to conceive rather than for couples who don't want to conceive. Right? So well, this is about it. And can we have the slide, please? Yeah. So coming to the first mechanical method, which a lot of our population relies on, is a barrier method. Barrier means there is an artificial barrier between the sperm and the egg so that the two cannot meet. Unless, and of course we know that unless the sperm and the egg meet, we cannot produce a baby. So primarily in our country, male condom or condom used by the male partner is what we use. Female condoms are not commonly available, and even if you want to use them, you possibly have to find pharmacies where they're generally not available. So maybe some people would probably have some extra fancy products wherein they are available, and but I will tell you how to use them. So the next slide, please. So male condoms, they are effective. Now, this has to be used by a male partner when the person is aroused and the penis is erect. It should not be used on a flaccid penis. Important thing is, first, when you open the pouch, it should be opened with your hand. Do not ask your partner to open it with with the teeth or with, because women are more likely to have sharper nails, so they are more likely to injure the condom while putting it on. So it is best that a person should be careful that you're not injuring the condom, you're not creating any micro fissures, and you have to carefully roll it on. See, it can be rolled in both directions, but if you roll it in a wrong direction and re-put it, it loses a lot of its effectiveness. So just be careful in seeing in mid direction. You have to unroll it. So you put the condom on the penis tip. Just remove the air out by pinching the bulb so that there is no air. The reason is, if it gets full with semen and there is air, it has a limited capacity to hold liquids. So you have to remove the air out of the teeth and roll it on top. You know, just act is over. You need to remove it very quickly, because if the penis gets flaccid, the condom will slip off and all the seminal fluid will leak into a woman's vagina, and then this can make her pregnant. And once you remove it, you have to carefully wrap it in a tissue paper or a newspaper and throw it in a dustbin. Never flush it off, because it can block your WC, and that can be a real embarrassment later on trying to fish it out. These are not made of biodegradable material, so you have to be very careful in disposing. So, can we have the next slide? Next slide, please. Yeah. So, as I said, you have to put it on before the intercourse. Do not penetrate a woman without a condom, assuming that, okay, let me first get turned on and then I will, because there is some precum, that lubricating fluid that a man secretes can have certain amount of sperms in them, and they are sometimes enough to make a woman pregnant. And important thing is, do not handle with sharp items. Air has to be taken out. Now, lubricant that we use, sometimes some couples need a lubricant along with the condom, so you should use a water based lubricant with a condom. And if for every sexual intercourse, you should have a new condom on, and quickly remove the condom from the vagina once you are done. Sometimes, I have had couples who have come to me that, the condom, it just got slipped off and it has gotten deep into a woman's vagina. Well, you need to take emergency protection for this kind of a thing, because not only the condom needs to be retrieved from the vagina, but you also need then emergency contraception. Next, please. Now, there is something called a female condom, because a lot of women complain that their partners are not very happy with using condoms, so they need to do something about it and they don't want to take pills. So this is a female condom. She needs to put it on top of her vaginal opening, over the vaginal opening. There is a rubber end, and she just puts it like, and squeeze off, and just put it. There are chances it's fine. It'll unroll. But yes, they are more messy. Repeated third. Next slide, please. Yeah. The next one, please. Yeah. So we have something called a diaphragm, which is like made of a rubbery material. First time, these are efficient and they block the entry to the uterus. So and they have to be filled with spermicide, so that whatever sperms that might leak out from the side, they are still not able to get up. Clearly, it's not a very effective way of preventing pregnancy, but still better than not using anything. So this is a diaphragm. First time a doctor has to fit you a diaphragm and tell you, because it comes in various sizes. And then once you know your size, you have to use it. Before every time you have to use a new, you have to wash your diaphragm and reuse it. And you must remember to apply spermicidal jelly in it. Some people find it very uncomfortable as compared to, I think, a condom. Fewer people are using it, but the effectiveness is approximately 94% when used correctly. But most of the people are not 100% correct users, so the success rate varies between 85 to 88%. Next slide, please. Like I mentioned, there is something called a cervical cup as well. It is similar to diaphragm in the sense, but it only covers, diaphragm fits into the vagina. Now cervical cup fits into the opening of the uterus. It is the cervix that we are talking about. It is harder to insert, and also you have to be very careful while removing it, that you have to remove it quickly within the 3 hours of sex. Otherwise there is a chance of pregnancy. It has to be washed with, kept in. There could be problems with privacy, and not a very popular method. It is available. Please. Yeah. So, well, this was about the mechanical barrier methods that we all saw. So essentially, if you use a condom all the time, it is a very good way to also protect you from sexually transmitted infections. Which a female condom and diaphragm are other barrier methods. The good thing is that these methods have no, but how effective they are to prevent pregnancies essentially depends on how well you can use. Okay, so I think we move on to the next one now. Yeah. So, well, as we were mentioning that, we have birth control patches, we have birth control vaginal rings, we have oral pills. But in our country, we essentially have oral pills. These are one of the most effective ways of birth control. And how they work is you need to take one tablet every day, starting from first day of your period. As I said, first day is the day you have bleeding on your underwear. That's your first day. If that day, suppose, is Wednesday, you start this Wednesday tablet and move on according to arrows. The important thing is that you need to take one tablet approximately the same time. So I tell my patients that please put in an alarm on your mobile that you will have one tablet every day, say after dinner at 10 o'clock, so you would not miss it. And these, there are various types of pills. We could have a monophasic pill, which will have 21 tablets, or there are certain combinations which have 24 tablets. So if you have a 21-day packet, first time the prescription has to be given by a doctor, and then you can move on. They are to be taken one tablet every day for 21 days on the same time after meals. Give a gap of 7 days after finishing the packet. This I'm talking about the monophasic pills. There is another combination which is available for 24 pills. That means the packet will have 24 tablets. So you need to start again one tablet every day, starting from day 1 of periods. Same time, finish all the packet 24 tablets and give a gap of 4 days. It does not matter. There are slight benefit of 24-day packet. There are slight benefits of 21 days. So we as doctors have to choose that. So important thing is on the 8th day or on the 5th day, depending on the number of pills that you have, you will start the new pack. Most of the side effects that people complain of, they wear off after you have been consistently using the packets for at least 3 months. Right? And I'll be just telling you about the side effects that most people experience. Then there are triphasic pills, wherein you will see 3 rows of pills in a packet. And these 3 rows are different according to the phase or the week of the cycle. First week you will have a different combination of hormones. Second week you will have so you cannot just start on any Wednesday. Like if you're starting on day 1 or day 5, the day will be mentioned that this is the tablet for day 1, this is the tablet for day 2. You just cannot mess up with the schedule and the sequencing, because every row will have a different combination of hormones, right? And then there are everyday pills. There are certain brands which will have 28 pills. That means they will have 21 active tablets, and the 7 tablets, the rest will be of different color, and these will be essentially multivitamins or iron tablets. So the good thing is, if you're taking one tablet every day and you're not giving a break, the idea is you are more likely to not forget. Some people come back and tell me that, oh, you told us for 7-day gap, but we forgot, and now it is day 9. Should we start a new pack, or what do we do? So essentially, we don't want to do that. We need to start the next pack in time. Everyday pills that way work the best. Monophasic, as I said, either 21 days or 24 days. You need certain amount of discipline to use it, because you need to start the next pack in time. So please remember, it is 3 weeks on, 1 week off. So you take the tablet for 21 days, give a break for 7 days. Then 8th day you restart the new packet, right? Next time you don't have to start the period. Periods will come automatically. Even if you do not have a period while you're on pill and you've been taking one pill every day and you're sure you're not pregnant, there is no problem. Start the next packet on day 8. And clearly, as I said, it's mentioned here that the efficiency is 99%. If you use it the same time, you do not have any missed pills, and there is no problem with the absorption of the drug. It is very, very, very efficient birth control method. And well, it will not make you sterile. A lot of people feel, well, will I be able to conceive when I leave these pills? Well, these methods have no long-term effects on your fertility. Well, they will not render you sterile, right? So this was about the oral contraceptive pills and the way you need to take these pills. Next slide, please. Now, as I said, you should not miss it, and you please take care of the time. If you are an evening person, take it in the evening. If you feel, oh, you're going to you sleep at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, or you have a night shift, you don't want to, then you take it in the morning. You decide your time, but take it the same time every day. Well, there are certain type of antibiotics. So you got sore throat, you got fever, you had liver infection, or you had tuberculosis. Your doctor gave you certain medication and you did not tell them that you were on birth control. Well, certain kind of medications can reduce the absorption of these hormones from the body. And then even while you're on these medications, you can still conceive. Now that's a very dicey situation, which I will tell you later why. But then if you're on certain drugs or antibiotics, you please tell your doctor that you are on birth control pills, and that they would advise you antibiotics which will not hamper with the absorption of these pills. Similar to that, like if you've had vomiting within 3 hours of taking the medication, or if you have had diarrhea, loose motions, the pill may not be absorbed, the gastric motility is high. So again, the pill absorption may be interfered with. And if you have a doubt, please use an additional contraception with condom. And then there is something called a missed pill. Now, despite my telling you that you need to take one tablet every day, there would be days you went partying and you forgot, or you were stressed out, or XYZ reasons you forgot. Now, what do I do about it? If you have suppose next day morning, you go back, it is a Thursday, and you see that the Wednesday tablet is still inside, that clearly you have not taken. So you just take that medicine as soon as you see that you have missed it, and the Thursday tablet you will take as per your time, right? So important thing is you take as your missed pill as soon as you remember, and take the scheduled one in time, right? Now if you have missed more than one, right, though if you missed one tablet, usually it will not interfere with your fertility. But if you started the pack late, or if you are in the first 7 tablets of your birth control pills, then you need to use an additional condom or another method of contraception for 7 days, right? But if you have missed the pill, say right before you were supposed to finish, 2 tablets remained in the pack and you missed it, it's not that dicey a problem. But if you have missed more than 2 pills, expect that you may have slight breakthrough bleeding. You may have an intermenstrual spotting or bleeding. And if you have missed 2 pills, you just take the last missed pills as soon as you remember it. The same day pill has to be taken, of course, as such, and use another method for 7 days. If you've missed like 3 tablets, you went somewhere, forgot your pack at home, you missed 3 tablets, 4 tablets, you've lost all the effectiveness. It is better to have a period then, and then resume the next pack. And as I mentioned, there are a lot of myths about contraceptive pills, though they are very, very effective ways of birth control. But people keep asking me what are the side effects, but majority of people have almost no side effects on birth control pills. The reason is now the hormonal content of these birth control pills have come down, and the benefits are far more than the side effects. So, but a lot of people experience headaches, and sometimes, women may have mood swings. They feel, they are feeling depressed about it. It is every person to themselves. Almost a lot of people would have very minor side effects. The sinister side effects do happen. Mostly the common side effects are the presence of blood clots in the leg, or in the brain, or in the lungs. These are sinister side effects, but they happen very, very, very seldom. But they do happen. So, because of this worry, unless there is a history, if you are a young person, you are a non-smoker, you are thin, your BMI is normal, usually there would not be any problems with birth control pills, and you're safe to use them. So could we have the next one, please? And second thing I was talking to you about was the patches and the vaginal rings. These were started in India. There is a small patch, 4 centimeters, which you can apply on your tummy, on your back, on your shoulder. And it works in the same way. It has got layers in between. There is a small collection of hormones which just percolates into the skin. And you have to put in one patch for 3 weeks, remove it for 1 week, put it again, a new patch for 3 weeks, like that. Similar to the oral contraceptive pills, it works. But again, and similar is another, it's like a vaginal ring, which is very good in terms of very low hormonal requirement. But somehow it didn't pick up too much in India, because though we were using it at one point of time, people were not happy using vagina as a way of birth control. And people felt that because of laxity of vagina, it was expelling, and they were not comfortable. So essentially, these two methods are not very popular in India, because again, as I said earlier, that because of our hot and humid environment, these patches were not very effective. They would come off and not have drug delivery as effective as oral ones. So, well, that summarizes with the birth control pills as far as general usage is concerned. Can we have the next one, please? Then another types of tablets are the progesterone pills, which we call as POP pills. They are effective. The good thing is that they can be used by fatty people. They can be used by smokers. Their side effect profile is a little better as compared to combined contraceptive pills. Now, the only problem with progesterone pills is they can cause sometimes irregular bleeding, which is a nuisance value with a lot of women. That's why in India, somehow this method has not really picked up so well, but it is very good. You need to take 1 tablet every day. You just keep taking, and, without any gaps, and this is how it works. And it's very, very good for breastfeeding mothers also. Same thing, you need to take 1 tablet every night, but you have to be even more careful with the timing of pop pills, because if you miss it by even more than 3 hours, it is considered a missed pill. So you need to really time yourself very well. So that was another nuisance value which a lot of people felt. Though they are very, very effective pills, they are not as commonly available as the oral contraceptive pills, which have estrogen and progesterone as a combined method. Next slide, please. Also with progesterone, as we have, like I said, with combined pills, we had oral tablets, we had vaginal patches, we had vaginal rings, and we had patches. Similar with progesterone only, we have oral tablets, which I just mentioned. Then we have injectables, which are not available again in our country. I don't know why they are not available, but they're very, very effective. Implanon was once available like 20 years back, but now it has been withdrawn from Indian markets. Now we have injectables, which are DMPA injections. There is 150 milligram injection, which is valid for say 45 days, and there is 300 milligram one, which is valid for 3 months. That means every 3 months you need to go and get an injection done. Again, the same thing, it is effective, but it causes nuisance value in terms of irregular bleeding. So not very effective, though a lot of breastfeeding mothers prefer it. But sometimes it can cause stoppage of menstruation for a variable period. A lot of my patients have had stoppage of menstruation for a year and a half, even after one single injection. So it is unpredictable as to what effect it will cause in your body. Though it's a very good contraception, but again, because of its irregular bleeding pattern, hasn't picked up so well. Next one, please. Then we now come to intrauterine devices. We have copper T, which is a T-shaped device. A doctor has to insert inside your uterus, and we insert it on immediately after the menstruation finishes, say on day 5, day 6. We just insert it once. There are many types available. Some can protect you for 3 years, some can protect you for 5 years. We also have a 10-year protection copper T. Only you have to go to a doctor to have it fitted. And the only side effect that majority of people complain is the periods may become slightly heavier. Your bleeding could be heavier, so people get anemic, which they don't like. Sometimes the threads are hanging and the male partner complains, oh, he feels the threads at the time of sexual intercourse. And sometimes it just comes out when it hasn't been placed very well. So next one, please. Also, there is another type of intrauterine device which is becoming very popular now, which we call as Mirena. It has a cylinder which is filled with progesterone. Now, all the problems with copper T essentially are saved with Mirena, in the sense that it causes periods to become lighter. And after 6 to 7 months, the periods become as light as they just would probably, you will have a spot in your period, which is very good, because it empowers you. And a lot of women are so happy that they don't have to use any pads in their periods, and the bleeding has come down so much that it's just like a spot. But again, there is another value, because it is a hormonal product. Again, for the first 3 to 6 months, sometimes it can cause irregular bleeding, which you have to kind of bear with. And again, the threads are hanging out, so infections are common. And some people complain while they are putting on weight, because it's a progesterone hormone, and this hormone causes little bloating and weight gain. And when I tell this to people, and they straight away say, no, we don't want this. Otherwise, it's a fantastic product and very, very effective in contraception, almost 100% effectiveness. Next one, please. So now comes the last bit of our presentation, is the emergency contraception. Now, emergency, as the name suggests, there is an emergency. You had a one-night stand, you got drunk, and you indulged in sexual intercourse, or the condom broke, it came off, you're not sure, and you now want to take an additional precaution, because now you don't want to conceive. And more so if you're like in the middle of your cycle and there is high chance of conception. So the best emergency contraception is a copper T. As I just mentioned in my previous slides, copper T is very, very, very effective as emergency contraception. And I will just tell you in the next slide how we go about it. First, the common ones are the oral ones, which everybody is aware of, is a tablet. We have two types of tablets. One is a levonorgestrel, which is progesterone, and ulipristal acetate, which is a prescription drug, but it is an anti-progesterone, and this is more effective for emergency contraception. So next slide, please. Now, copper T, if you ask me, doctor, what is the best way after having an unprotected sex to avoid a pregnancy? What is the best way? I would say copper T. Go to a doctor and get a copper T inserted. What it does, it does not allow implantation to happen. Now, after fertilization, if you students of biology are there, you would understand that after fertilization, implantation happens on day 5. So, you know, if especially you've had an unprotected intercourse, you're now worried that, maybe the condom broke, maybe you're not sure, and, you've taken your time. By that time, the oral pills are not going to be effective. This copper T can be inserted anytime after an unprotected intercourse, like say even on day 5, day 6. If you're not keen to retain it, after the next period, you can always remove it. Removal is very easy. So just walk to a gynecologist and have a copper T inserted if you want to be very sure that you don't want to conceive and you want the best way to prevent a pregnancy. Again, people in our country are not very happy with copper T even as an emergency contraception. Not many doctors advise it because the population that comes to us is young patients, young people, a lot of them unmarried. Their vaginas are tight, but it is not very difficult to insert. If you are worried about it, a small amount of anesthesia can be given and be inserted. It is much better than having an abortion later on. And it's not really a problem. You can, if you really want a good contraception also, you can allow it to stay inside your uterus till when you're ready to conceive. So any copper T at least would protect you for 3 years. But if you don't want to keep it, like I said, once your next periods come, once you're sure you're not pregnant, you can have it removed. Next one, please. Now, the second drug that I was talking to you, that the oral pill, is a ulipristal acetate. Now, this is a very important medicine and it is far more effective than the eye pills which are available in the market. What it does, it pushes the ovulation, say by up to 5 days, right? But again, oral pills like eye pill or ulipristal are not going to be effective if the ovulation has already happened. You see, ovulation is basically the egg has come out of the ovary. If it has already left the ovary, we can't bring it back. But if the ovulation has not happened, ulipristal will push it by 5 days. But that means if you have another unprotected sex in the next 5 days after that, then the egg is going to be released late. Then don't have that false sense of security that you took an emergency contraception and now things are settled. With ulipristal, you have to be careful for your future intercourses in that cycle also, because ovulation will get haywire and it usually pushes by up to 5 to 7 days. But egg will get released and nonetheless. But still the failure rates are very less, only to the tune of 1 to 2%. Essentially because if you've taken when the ovulation has already happened, it's not going to be effective. But it is a prescription drug. You have to go to a gynecologist to get it. Pharmacy people are not supposed to give you ulipristal just like that. I don't know why, but it is a prescription drug, though it doesn't really have many side effects. The next one, please. Now the oral contraceptive pill, the progesterone one, which most commonly people use, is an eye pill or an unwanted 72. We all are aware, you need to take one tablet, buy it from the market as soon as possible after an emergency contact, a condom broke or something happened. You just take it as soon as possible and within 72 hours. It basically works again by inhibiting ovulation. It will not allow the egg to get out of the ovary. It is much less efficient as compared to ulipristal. and much less effective as compared to a copper T. Again, if you have taken after the egg has already been released from the ovary, clearly we don't know unless somebody sees it on ultrasound, or unless you're tracking it so well, or you're clearly in the pre-ovulatory cycle. It's not going to be of any use if you've taken after ovulation. So IPIL is, as a lot of people are very surprised when they say, oh no, we used a condom and after that I took an IPIL also, but still it didn't work. So with an IPIL, you need to know your cycle when you're taking it. And, if you're around ovulation or pre-ovulation, it works the best, but maybe just after ovulation, it doesn't work very well. There are higher chances of failure. In that situation, I think you should go for a copper T as an emergency contraception. I think I have dealt with majority of the common concerns that people have. Next slide, please. So with an IPIL, as I said earlier, as with any other contraceptive, if you vomit within 3 hours of taking an IPIL, you need to take another pill. And it is meant for emergency use. It is not meant for regular couples. If you are regularly in contact, please use a birth control pill rather than emergency contraception. As you keep taking, there are a lot of people who would say, an intercourse happened now, I took it, and another intercourse happened in the evening, I took another one, then another happened another day, I took another one. Well, it will increase your side effects. Taking higher number of IPILs will not make it any safer, because as I clearly said, if the egg has already been released from the ovulation, any number of pills are not going to stop the egg from meeting the sperm. So, it does not mean that you've taken 3 IPILs. Important is the timing of taking an IPIL vis-a-vis your period cycle. So it does make a lot of irregular periods. It can cause continuous bleeding. It can cause a lot of nausea, vomiting. So please use it only for emergency and not for a routine use. Next slide, please. So, well, with that, I thank you for your patient listening. We've had connection issues. I'm pleased and I'm happy that you've kind of stuck around. I would be happy to now take your questions. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for this session. It was very, very informative. Now we can skip to the questions.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, guys. Please fill in the question bar with just anything you have on your mind. We have one question in the general chat section. Can you see it? It says, Doctor, what about using non-hormonal pills to reduce chances of side effects by a large percentage?
Non-hormonal pills?
Yeah.
See, the contraceptive pills are either combined pills or they are progesterone pills. So what are we talking about? Non-hormonal? If it is non-hormonal, it doesn't have any meaning.
Niharika, could you please elaborate on what you're trying to ask? Okay, up until then, we have a few questions. Are you being able to see them?
Yes, I can see that. Yes, it is possible that birth control pills have reduced absorption due to chronic enteritis. Well, yes, it is possible. Celiac disease and tropical sprue and a lot of hepatitis, people would have reduced oral absorption of the drug. For them, probably injectables would work better. So how readily available are female condoms? Female, as I said earlier, female condoms are not very readily available. It is a very, I feel, they can get stuck. I have seen a lot of female condoms getting stuck. I've seen a lot of male condoms getting stuck in the vagina. So it's easier. We can always remove it. But yes, with repeated thirsting, and especially if the ring is not very appropriately fitted on the vagina, well, it can get inside with the thirst and it can go deep into the vagina. But it is easier to retrieve. Mostly people are usually able to retrieve it by themselves by putting in a finger. But then, the contraceptive effectiveness is lost. How dangerous can be? I guess you're asking the same thing, that what happens if the condom has gotten stuck in the vagina. Well, I would say you've lost the benefit of using a condom, whether you're using a
Oh,
male.
her question has been continued. I think
Yeah, yeah,
eye
exactly.
pills. Talking about eye pills, how dangerous can eye pills be for the body?
Well, if you use it judiciously for emergencies, well, they are not very harmful. Essentially, they are very safe. Let me put it like that. They are nuisance value sometimes if used inappropriately. There are a lot of people who keep taking eye pills, and but if you think in terms of side effects, with one tablet, none. But yeah, it can cause irregular bleeding. Your periods can get pushed. There would be a lot of anxiety that people have, that, oh, am I pregnant? And then obviously the symptoms get confounded if you had the spotting and then your period got delayed, and you would do urine pregnancy test which will not show, and then many days later a blood test will pick up a pregnancy. So, well, yes, eye pills are not very effective, but yes, no, as compared to not doing anything, you must take an eye pill if need be. Yeah. The next question is, what is the age when a girl should meet a gynecologist? Well, uh, I would say there is no mandatory age limit in India. We have girls as young as 13 years who come with period issues with their moms. We have girls like 17 years, 18 years who want to discuss contraception, or they want to understand the whole process. If you are thinking in terms of a testing, well, pap smear is one test which we advise, a year after you have a sexual debut or 25 years of age. That's when we start a pap smear, if that is what you have in mind. STI, STD testing should be started. There is no age for it. If you feel you have an issue, you visit a gynecologist anytime. Unlike Western countries where they say, okay, at 18, because their population by 18 is all sexually active. So we really can't tell you an age where you should visit a gynecologist. But, once you get married, once you're sexually active, I guess you could kind of visit, or
Is
when
it
you
going to be
start.
possible if you could read out the questions and then answer it? Because I don't think everyone else is able to access the questions.
Okay. The next question is by Sanskriti. Eye pills for the body. I think this
That
got
was like
broken up.
answering.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we've done that. Next is, can you give us the names of some brands of monophasic or triphasic pills that you recommend? Well, yes, the smallest dose containing monophasic pills that are very effective are, say, produced by MSD company. Femilon is a very common brand name that people use. Look, this is a webinar, but this is not meant to replace doctor's advice. But yeah, monophasic pills, Femilon is very popular. I hope nobody sues me for using the brand names. Triphasic pills are the commonest one which people use is a tricular. Again, triphasic pills are to be used only with judicious need. But monophasic pills can be almost taken by, if you are a thin person, you're a non-smoker, there is no family history of people dying at very young age of heart diseases and all, you're essentially safe in taking your birth control. So, well, uh, can you please explain fertility assessment method again? So, is there, Shivani, is there something specific that you have not understood? This method essentially means that you need to be aware about your fertile days, for which, as I mentioned, there are three ways to go about it. One is you do your body temperature measurements. If you do your body temperature measurements, you just keep a thermometer next to your bedside. And every day in the morning, say from day 6 onwards, you just put a digital thermometer in your mouth and take the temperature and write down. You would see a temperature being constant. The essential thing is that you should not have had water or tea just before taking. That's why I say just before you put your foot down from the bed, you just take the temperature, and you keep taking the temperature as long as now. There would be days once the ovulation finishes, your body temperature will start to rise. Now, once your body temperature increases by say 0.2 to more, It can go up by 1 degree also. So, but 0.2 is the minimum, 0.2 degree centigrade. So once it goes up and it stays up for 3 days, after that you're essentially good to go for sex without using any other protection also. Now, this was one method. Second is the cervical mucus. So, cervix is, as you understand, is the opening of, you can imagine a vaginal discharge, right? So, there would be days when we all notice that, our vaginal discharge is very thin. It is transparent. It's like too much in amount. Your panties might feel a little wet and slippery. These are the days which are very fertile days. And this sperm, this mucus is there to help the sperm swim up into your uterus. So as long as you're having that thin mucousy discharge, you're not safe. Now, then this discharge will turn into thickish discharge, whitish, less in amount, and you will no longer feel the slipperiness. And once you've had this thickish discharge for say 2 to 3 days, after that you're kind of good to go. As I said, these methods have their own problems. They have their own fertility rates which are there with each method. And then third is using your own fertility fertile days by charting the cycle over the last 1 year. So suppose there is one cycle that was 26 days. 26 days means first day when you bled on your underwear is your day 1 till the end, till the next one started, you passed 26 days. And there was another period which was like for 35 days or 36 days. So, you have to calculate your fertile days as to what the formula I gave earlier, the long minus 10 and short minus 20. So shortest was 26 days. So 26 minus 20 means day 6 is your first fertile day, right? And that's how you calculate. So that essentially means that up to 9 to 10 days in your cycle, you're not going to be having sex without any protection. So if you apply a combination of all these three methods and you don't want to use anything else, possibly you might be still safe. So I hope that explains, that answers your question. Okay, so I will take the next one. Blessy says, how long does it take for insertion of copper T? The whole process takes around 10 minutes, starting from cleaning to cleaning after the end of it. So actual process is just a 2-minute process, but if you start from cleaning of the vagina, getting into position to getting up is 10 minutes. Can the emergency pill be taken after a few intercourses in a day? Yes, it can be. As I said, but you have to be careful which emergency pill you are taking, and be sure that the ovulation has not just happened. If the ovulation has just already happened, then emergency pills are not effective. See, emergency pills work by inhibiting ovulation or pushing ovulation. So it's not that they have to neutralize the sperms. So egg is only one in the body, though the sperms can be in millions. So it does not matter that you've had one intercourse or many intercourse, one emergency pill will work for that day. Does being overweight make a difference in the effectiveness of an emergency contraception? This is Sanskriti, very good question. Well, because a lot of young girls are now overweight, a standard eye pill has 1.5 milligram of levonorgestrel. As I mentioned earlier, if you are more than 70 kgs or your BMI is more than 25, which a lot of girls have these days, you possibly need more dosage. So you need to double up your eye pill dose if you are overweight. So we then give you 3 milligrams of levonorgestrel. So if you're big, you need to use 2 tablets instead of 1 at one go. Next is by Akanksha. What one or combination method would you suggest for a youngster just starting out? I mean, not something long term, or do we need to consult a doctor specifically? Akanksha, like I said, that if you are just, it's a one-off thing, emergency contraception works. I guess that's what you mean, but along with the barrier method, a condom is very important to also protect you from sexually transmitted infections. Some of them, not all, but still that's the best we have. So you could use a condom along with, if you need an emergency contraception. If it's like, you're getting together once in 3 months or 4 months. You can also, if you have a partner with which you're going to be together for say once a week, twice a week, birth control pills are very good. They are very effective. They take away they're more effective 99%. So they take away the stress of being pregnant, which other methods have with like barriers or emergency contraception. Well, for a short term, no. Like I said, if you are a thin person, like you are, your BMI is less than 25, you do not have a bad family history of heart diseases or cancers, or you're not a smoker, you're fairly active, there is no problem in using birth control pills for a short time. By short time mean 1 or 2 years is absolutely safe to have. There is no problem. And also one important thing is that you should not have had jaundice in the last 6 months before you start with birth control pills. The next question is, hi, so non-hormonal contraceptive pills like Saheli, Novex, and Centroman, or Meloxifene. Look, these are not, Ormeloxifene is a hormone, right? It works, it is a estrogen modulator. It is a hormonal pill. It has to be taken twice a week, but it is not primarily used for contraceptive purposes. Saheli was launched by Indian government many years back, but now it is essentially used for breast pains and irregular bleeding, the dysfunctional uterine bleedings. They're more used for rather than contraception. Again, like I said, with Saheli or like Ormeloxifene containing products, irregular bleeding remains a problem. That's the reason why it hasn't really picked up as a contraception. Speaking biological readiness wise, what is a healthy age for females to indulge in sexual intercourse? Biological readiness means that once you've had your periods, your body is ready to receive a sperm. That means it is ready to have a baby. So sexual intercourse then becomes when you are mentally ready. Though I am not advocating initiation of early sex, but biologically, well, yes, when you start with your periods, you're ready. Anshika says, how about Saheli contraceptive? I read somebody doesn't have side effects. Well, Ormeloxifene has side effects. It's not true that it doesn't. Every pill will have certain effects, certain side effects, certain benefits. The good thing about Saheli is that for the first 3 months, you need to use it only twice a week, and after that, a weekly dose is enough. It reduces your period bleeding, but yes, it does cause irregular bleeding, which is a problem. Ma'am, when should you start taking 21-day pill, and should you engage in sex only during the 7 days then? Meda, no. You start taking this pill pack on day 1 of your periods. Like, you started with your period today and you want to start pills on this cycle. You start 1 tablet today. 5 days you will bleed on an average. By that time you have taken 5 pills. So you continue taking 1 pill every day, same time. And then you give, once you finish with your 21 days, you give a 7-day gap. In this gap time also you are safe. You do not need to use a condom if you don't want to. And then after the 7-day gap, on day 8th, you start the next pack. And the birth control effectiveness starts once you have taken your first 7 tablets of the first time. This month you are starting, 5 days will be your period. In all likelihood, people don't have sex during their periods. Then they give you only 2 days remaining. If you are sexually active in those 2 days also, you need to use additional protection like a condom. After days, if you've taken 7 tablets, you're safe, and then you're safe throughout. Next cycle, 7-day gap, you're safe for till as long as you will continuously be taking the pill correctly. So does that answer your question? Like another question, does copper T have any side effects? Well, yes, I said it does have a side effect, but most of the side effects happen or problematic effects happen at the time of insertion. Mostly if it is not inserted very well, wrong placement, sometimes it can cause a hole in the uterus if somebody pushes in too deep. Some people have started putting it under ultrasound guidance, which is a safer way to put. So it goes through, perforates you through your uterus. or it doesn't reach the proper place, well, that's a side effect. But if it is placed properly, the side effects are essentially, well, it can sometimes increase your period bleeding, and sometimes it can cause infections. No, it does not make you sterile. It can make you sterile only if it has caused infections and you have not taken care of these infections, and it has blocked your tubes, those infections which have gone up. Because see, the threads are hanging out in the vagina, and sperm sometimes, the semen has pus, or the vagina has infections, and this area is anyway has sometimes germs which keep in and out because of sexual activity. So this threads gives a way for organisms to pass up into your uterine cavity. So, well, that sometimes in extreme infections, pelvic PIDs and all can make you sterile. But mostly, if you take care of your infections early on, no, it wouldn't have any problems. Can you please repeat the ideal time for taking a pap smear test? Ridhima, pap smear test is to be started when you become sexually active, whenever, or after you get married. A year into your sexual activity is the time to start regular pap smears, whether or not you have received cancer injections. Pap smear should be done once in 3 years if your smear reports are normal. In our country, we do it once in 3 years till the age of 50, and after 50 to 65 we do it once in 5 years, provided the previous pap smears are normal. If there is any problem, your doctor will tell you when to repeat. Sometimes we repeat after a course of antibiotics. Sometimes we suggest, no, this is not all right, come back after a year. So it varies. But if it is normal, there is no problem in your pap smear, once in 3 years is enough. And it has to be taken after the period bleeding has gotten over. That's the best time to take it. And you should not have had sex for the last 2 to 3 days before you come to a doctor for your pap smear. Next is, can you please talk about tubectomy briefly? Tubectomy, I did not deliberately mention because I felt that I was dealing with a younger crowd, so people would have more questions in what problems they are facing. Tubectomy is a permanent method, or it's like sterilization. We put a clip on fallopian tubes of a woman, and this is a permanent method. It cannot be reversed at all. So get it done only when you are very sure that you don't want more children. And this method also has a 0.5% failure rate, because when you clip, sometimes the clips fall off. And if you're using a cautery to cut, then sometimes the tubes will regrow and fuse together. Sometimes when we are putting in a ligature, it comes off and the loop rejoins. So it has a 0.5% failure rate also. But it is a permanent method, and in case you want children after having a tubectomy, you need to go for an IVF. Next question is from Tanya. Is copper T readily available? Of course it is readily available. There's no problem. It is available everywhere. Niharika says, can these non-hormonal contraceptive pill be used as emergency contraceptive? No. Sharon, if a woman has just conceived, does the copper T work? It doesn't cause abortions, Sharon, if that is what you want to know. It can help to prevent implantation. So that means you have a bigger window of putting in a copper T, and in all likelihood, it will not allow proper implantation to happen. But if you've conceived already, it will not cause an abortion. Sukanya, how much does an IUD cost? Copper IUDs are very, very cheap. They can cost around 400, 500 rupees. They're that cheap. Rest is the insertion charges, which vary from doctor to doctor. Mirena is expensive. Mirena cost around 3,500, 4,000 rupees. Ashna says, are birth control pills available on prescription? No, in our country they are available over the counter also. But it is always advisable that for your first prescription, you should go to a doctor, because then she will decide what kind of hormones you should have depending on your history. But if you're looking at just for birth control, and like I said, you are a healthy person, thin, you have no other problems, you could just buy it from the pharmacy. But first time you must have your BMI and your BP checked by a doctor before you start. Next question from S saying that Dr. Seema, could you please suggest the best preventive measures for people indulging in sexual once in 1 to 2 months with the same partner? Well, 1 to 2 months, I guess barriers if used well, along with your fertility awareness methods, I think they should be good. Because in 2 months, if you're having one sexual intercourse, it doesn't really make sense to be popping in so many birth control pills. And or the other option is if you could also have a long-term copper T inserted, which stays in for 5 years. Then it depends on the sexual frequency. It doesn't really matter. How expensive is copper T insertion? Varies from clinic to clinic. At Apollo, we charge 2,000 per insertion. Ma'am, taking pills during periods will postpone the period next month, or will it have any side effects? No, it will not postpone your periods. Once you take these pills, you have to start during periods, and you take the pills for 21 days, like I said, 21-day cycle. And once you stop, usually periods come by day 24, 25. So it actually, first time it prepones your period a little bit by 2-3 days. So it doesn't postpone the period next month. Or will it have any side effects? Yes, I mentioned, see, there are lots of side effects of birth control pills, but majority of people have none of them. So, it's a wrong thing to ask me the possible side effects, because possible side effects for anything are humongous. You go to a doctor, you could list, wastage of time, wastage of money, waiting time, this, that, fuel wastage and time, all that is side effect, right? But majority of people have no side effects. As I mentioned, headaches and breast pain and mood issues are what youngsters are very concerned about. And they disappear if you've been using birth control pills consistently for 3 months. Most of these side effects will disappear. Sometimes people have acidity, which I said, okay, manage, but don't stop the pill. Carry on. 2 to 3 months down the line, it settles down. Next one. Hi, we should not be taking any more questions. Okay, fine, we're done, I guess. So I hope you enjoyed the session. And I think I just dealt with the common issues here. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Okay, just a second. All right, so you're getting good feedback. You're getting a lot of thank yous in the section.
My pleasure.
And yes, just to inform everyone, I know there are a lot of questions people have around contraceptives. So you can reach out to Dr. Seema. We can share her details with you. And also, she is on board with us for Pratisandhi as our medical advisor. So you can reach out to us as well if you have any more questions. And again, Dr. Seema, I'd like to thank you for taking our time and addressing all these questions. And the session was highly informative.
Thank you, Simran. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.